But we begin tonight with the spiraling emergency after Hurricane Helene, the mounting death toll, at least 182 lives lost.
Right, Justin, the death toll from Hurricane Helene is rising. 102 people have now been confirmed dead, and that number...
When Helene first made landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast as the most powerful hurricane, a Category 4...
Hurricane Helene has proved to be disastrous for Appalachia, as massive amounts of precipitation from the storm caused rampant flooding that has devastated several states, towns, cities, counties. Hundreds of people are missing, thousands displaced. Torrential rainfall from the remnants of Hurricane Helene capped off 3 days of extreme, unrelenting precipitation, which left catastrophic flooding and unimaginable damage in the mountains and southern foothills. The full extent of this event will take years to document, not to mention to recover from. Hurricane Helene was the fourth strongest and destructive hurricane in recorded U.S. history. Hurricane Katrina was only a Category 3. However, what transpired afterwards created a myriad of conspiracy theories, to include the government creating the storm, among others, and to blame them on climate change to justify ripping off U.S. taxpayers to create their own new Green New Deal slush fund. But what is the truth? Did the government, in fact, create the hurricane? Why has the government, through FEMA, not adequately responded to the crisis? What is the reason behind the beliefs that the government wants to confiscate the land? Have there been major roadblocks by government officials in trying to hinder non-federal government relief operations, to include rescues? Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former history professor, Army and Marine Corps veteran, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History. There are some people who believe the storm, Hurricane Helene, was generated and directed toward that one area of the country that is staunchly anti-democratic, thus affecting the opportunity for people living there to vote. Some believe that the hurricane's path was guided by ground-based frequency transmitter installations. Atmospheric frequency transmissions can and do have a repelling effect on air masses, especially if and when the air masses have been seeded with electrically conductive nanoparticles. Another theory deals with the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP, a University of Alaska Fairbanks program to observe the ionosphere, to include cloud seeding, which has been done for decades to assist farmland with developing rainfall. Logic would dictate that controlling the weather in such a fashion is science fiction. Still yet, another major story and theory is that in the aftermath, the government wants to take the land away from the owners to control those mountain areas because they have large deposits of lithium, the largest in the country, perhaps the world, and other minerals necessary to make electric car batteries and weapon systems. The problem with that is that the government must have justifiable reasons to take private property. Even if they invoke eminent domain, the owners must be adequately compensated. But of interest, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, is a shareholder along with BlackRock in lithium mining, and he applied for a lithium mining permit on September 24th. Think about that for a second. According to the Forbes report, adding to the conspiracy theory, Steve Peters stated in a video, "Here's an interesting fact about the region of North Carolina. It sits on the biggest lithium deposit in the United States. As the United States government and its buddies in the central banking corporate crime syndicates stand to make billions and trillions of dollars off of these lithium deposits that are underneath towns, underneath homes, underneath schools, and they can't get access unless the land is somehow completely cleaned off and available for mining. What better way to do that than by washing away the people who live there and all that they own and blaming it on climate change?" But what about the reports of government interference and lack of support? We know that $1.4 billion of FEMA funds were distributed throughout the nation to pay for the care of 20-plus million illegals invited and brought into the country.
They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants.
In fact, White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre stated on live television just a few days after the storm, quoting, that no funds were diverted from FEMA for the care of illegals overburdening city and state governments. She claimed FEMA was well prepared. Well, listen to this. In 2022, she said the exact opposite when explaining how cities inundated with illegal immigration would be assisted, and she cited the FEMA game plan, clearly stating that FEMA funds would be used to assist illegals in the country. The problem is that most people on the ground in the affected areas have not seen FEMA since the disaster, despite what the Biden administration is saying, and FEMA is, according to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, out of money because those funds were being used for illegal immigrants. So, who is lying? This was recently posted on the FEMA website, and I'm reading and quoting directly. FEMA and federal, state, community, and volunteer partners continue providing resources to aid response efforts across the Southeast as survivors begin recovering from Hurricane Helene. More than 3,500 personnel from across the federal workforce are deployed and supporting Hurricane Helene response efforts across the impacted states. More than 1,000 are from FEMA. Across the impacted states, FEMA has shipped over 1.9 million meals ready to eat, MREs for those of us in the military, more than 1 million liters of water, 30 generators, and over 95,000 tarps. Okay, well, however, the people I've been in contact with, including family and friends in all these affected areas, have seen no FEMA personnel doing anything, and if they delivered supplies, they would like to know where they are. Well, we know where some of them are. There are reports that FEMA operatives are confiscating supplies and stockpiling them along with local authorities. For what reason? They say redistribution and safety. Right. Mainstream news agencies are not reporting any of this contrary information and are doing the bidding of the White House, just as they did with the Hunter Biden laptop, by stifling any reports contrary to the official government line from coming out. Finally, Biden, after 6 days, authorized soldiers from Fort Liberty, the 82nd Airborne of the 18 Airborne Corps, and Marines from Camp Lejeune and Cherry Point to join the assistance efforts, but only after outcries from local and state leaders who had deployed their own state National Guards. But the problem is that they are yet to be deployed. Why? But the indifference, if not interference, by the government was serious to some people. Reports came in from every affected area that relief efforts and volunteers were being prevented from doing their work. Case in point, South Carolina helicopter pilot Jordan Sidham was flying victims out of the devastation over the weekend when local leaders told him there was a flight restriction on the area and that they would have to arrest him if he continued making flights. There were other victims. As we were flying out leaving the area, we spotted within 300-400 yards of their location, people were waving for help as my son and I were leaving, Sidham told Queen City News. Sidham once led the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Department's Office Narcotics Unit, and with his teenage son Landon, took their helicopter and flew out bottled water and food to a family at Banner Elk on Saturday. Then they continued to find other people in need of help. The father and son, both volunteer firefighters, flew 4 victims to safety on Saturday, including 2 women stranded at the top of a mountain and 2 vacationers trapped inside their Airbnb. According to Sidham, they only had 1 day of supplies, which was gone by Saturday. They didn't have any food, water, no running water, no power. And we were coming back this direction anyway, so we actually took them to Charlotte Douglas Airport and they were able to fly home from there. Then, the father and son went back out on Sunday and found a husband and wife who waved them down from their partially washed away home. Sidham and his son exited the aircraft and Landon remained with the husband to make room for the wife in the helicopter, whom he flew to a group of first responders about 3 minutes away. Sidham stated, "I originally left my son, my co-pilot, on the side of the mountain. The helicopter was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight on the helicopter to lift it back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at a time. Well, Sidom's plans to return for the other victim and his son were squashed by an unnamed Lake Lurie fire official who allegedly threatened to have him arrested if he continued picking up stranded victims. According to Sidom, I explained to him that I left my son on the side of a mountain and I left another victim. I was going to go back and bring them. It was already set up for the landing spot, and then I would get out of this area. He told me I wasn't going to go back up the mountain to get them. I was going to leave from there. This official apparently, however, held his ground and reiterated his threat to arrest Sidom if he were to get the other victim and fly him to the first responders. And this Sidom stated clearly. This all occurred after Sidom delivered the woman to the airport. Still, he told the official he was going back to get her husband and his son. Again, he was told, "No, you're not." Sidom was told to leave the airport from there. Sidom said he asked the official for a specific reason. He was ordering him to stop his rescue efforts. "You're interfering with my operation," is the reason Sidom said the fire official gave. "I'm going back and getting my co-pilot," Sidom said. The official said, "If you turn around and go back up the mountain, you're going to be arrested." I said, "Well, sir, I'm going back to get my co-pilot. I don't know what to tell you." Sidom also said that the official, who was apparently from out of state, possibly from Michigan, called over 2 law enforcement officers and again threatened him with arrest if he flew back up the mountain. The law enforcement officials did not appear to be very interested in arresting him for anything. Sidom returned to retrieve his son and explained what happened to the husband, whom he was forced to leave stranded in his crumbling driveway. As Sidom said, "I did leave the Rutherford airport. I knew at that point he had no jurisdiction. I was legal in what I was doing, and I was following all FAA guidelines and airspace guidelines. I was still on private property." So why the interference? It only makes perfect sense if the federal government, incompetent to say the least, did not want to be upstaged, even if it risked lives to keep their false public image alive. Sidom believes the Lake Lurie fire official's decision to order him and other pilots out of the rescue zone on Sunday put lives at risk. Sidom stated, "Absolutely, there were other victims as we were flying out leaving the area. They just could not get access to that and were waving for help as my son and I were leaving. I can only imagine what the people were thinking. You've been stranded for 24 to 36 hours. No way to speak with anyone. You don't know what's going on, and you see a lifeline fly over, and they keep going. I can only imagine what they were thinking," Sidom said. Sidom also stated, "I'm sorry, if I had to do it over again, I would have stopped and I would have rescued as many people until they decided they were going to arrest me." Within a half hour of the confrontation with the fire official, Sidom said, a temporary flight restriction was enacted over Lake Lurie, where he had been trying to save the stranded people. In another series of reports in Tennessee, the Madison County Sheriff's Department is investigating a September 26th incident at the TA Travel Center in Denmark, Tennessee. 56 tires on 8 tractor trailers parked at the truck stop overnight had their tires flattened, loaded with relief goods. One of the affected rigs had all 18 tires slashed. A suspect was caught on camera, and a $31,000 reward is being offered for information leading to his arrest. Throughout Virginia, Tennessee, Missouri, and North Carolina, as well as South Carolina, over 80 trucks were affected. Some theorize it was government operatives not wanting aid to reach victims. But why? If it was government, it is all about politics, and they're wanting the optics on them as they did something, whenever that is. Part of the criticism of the government were the comments made by presidential candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris, who had previously on several occasions stated that disaster relief should be given based upon equity, meaning assistance delivered based upon race, not necessity. Perhaps racial justice liberals are exercising their criminal behavior, much like Black Lives Matter, which we call burn, loot, murder, and Antifa when they destroyed many cities in 2020 in almost 600 riots. Harris also stated that the federal government would give $750 in relief to each person affected by the storm. while hundreds of billions of dollars have gone overseas and to help illegal criminal aliens during the Biden-Harris administration, and over $1 billion from FEMA alone that went to illegal aliens. The Biden administration recently began to walk those statements back, saying the $750 would be an immediate payment, but more relief money was coming. That contradicts what Mayorkas and Harris said, as well as Karine Jean-Pierre. But real Americans have stepped up. Many celebrities, including Appalachia native Dolly Parton, said Friday she will donate $1 million for Hurricane Helene relief efforts. Other common-sense celebrities are also helping, and they're not liberals. Reverend Franklin Graham of Samaritan's Purse, along with Donald Trump, have been the largest suppliers of much-needed food and water, supported by NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and religious groups. In frustration, Elon Musk took to X, formerly Twitter, and complained that SpaceX engineers were barred by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, from delivering Starlink terminals and supplies. This was corroborated by his chief engineer and others on the ground who were detained. Musk said, SpaceX engineers are trying to deliver Starlink terminals and supplies to devastated areas in North Carolina right now, and FEMA is both failing to help and won't let others help. This is unconscionable. He further criticized FEMA for not allowing the SpaceX team to land and deliver critical supplies, adding, "My blood is boiling." However, in a later update, Musk posted, after intense media scrutiny over FEMA's interference and incompetence, that SpaceX had finally received the necessary approval from FEMA to proceed with the delivery of the Starlink terminals and supplies. There have also been reports that truck drivers trying to deliver much-needed supplies were stopped and not allowed to continue. They faced much of the same restrictions as the pilots, being shut down and not allowed to deliver their loads. The government stated it was because of the congestion with both civilian and military aircraft doing rescues and recoveries. But here's the problem. Other than state National Guard units, regular Army and Marine assets have not been seen in the affected areas, at least not yet. They haven't been released. No active-duty aircraft have been deployed to date. It looks like public shaming and the bad optics are not helping the Harris campaign. This is on them. Thank you for watching this episode of Forgotten History. If you liked what you saw, please click like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to assist with the ever-increasing cost of production, please consider becoming a channel member and joining our Patreon page. Please check out our merchandise store. And thanks for watching.